This man sold the Eiffel Tower. And the craziest part? It wasn't his to sell. Then he tried to do it again. Paris was booming, but its most famous landmark had become surprisingly expensive to maintain. Then Victor Lustig read an article about the tower's growing repair costs and saw something no one else saw. His name was Victor Lustig, a professional con man whose greatest weapon wasn't force, it was confidence. And that newspaper article gave him an outrageous idea. Pretend the French government had secretly decided to demolish the Eiffel Tower. He created official-looking government stationery and invited some of Paris's biggest scrap metal dealers to a confidential meeting. And he chose the perfect place to make the lie believable. One of the most prestigious hotels in Paris. He told them the government had decided to tear the tower down, but the decision was politically sensitive and had to remain completely secret. To a scrap dealer, the Eiffel Tower wasn't just a landmark, it was thousands of tons of valuable iron. Lustig even drove the dealers to inspect the tower personally, but he wasn't showing them the metal, he was studying them. One man stood out, André Poisson, an ambitious dealer who was still trying to establish himself among Paris's elite. But Poisson wasn't completely convinced. Something about the deal felt too perfect. So Lustig added one more layer to the scam. He subtly suggested that, like many underpaid officials, he expected a little something for himself. And strangely, the request for a bribe made the whole thing more believable. Poisson finally trusted him. Poisson handed over the money, believing he'd just secured the deal of a lifetime, the right to dismantle the Eiffel Tower. And before Poisson could discover the truth, Lustig took the money and disappeared across the border into Austria. When Poisson finally realized he'd been conned, the embarrassment was almost worse than losing the money. He was so humiliated that he reportedly never spoke of it, and that silence gave Lustig a dangerous idea. He came back to Paris and tried to sell the Eiffel Tower all over again. But the second group wasn't quite as easy to fool. Someone became suspicious, and word may have begun to spread. Lustig sensed the danger before any trap could be sprung. Once again, he vanished. But selling the Eiffel Tower wasn't the end of the story. 10 years later, he was in America. By then, he'd built a counterfeit operation so successful that fake bills linked to him were spreading across the United States. On May 10, 1935, the law finally caught up with him on a New York street. He was locked inside Manhattan's Federal Detention Center while waiting for trial, a place investigators believed he couldn't escape. Using bedsheets as a rope, he climbed out of a window and reportedly acted like a window cleaner as he descended the building. For weeks, agents searched for him across the country. Victor kept moving, but this time, there was nowhere left to disappear. About a month later, he was captured again in Pittsburgh. This time, the escape was over. He pleaded guilty to the counterfeiting charges, and the man who had spent years talking his way out of impossible situations was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. And his final destination was Alcatraz, the prison designed for men America couldn't afford to let escape. Victor Lustig never owned the Eiffel Tower, he never had permission to sell it. But for a brief moment, he convinced structures on Earth, and then he was bold enough to try it twice.